the dungeon, you realize there is a very big difference. This place is very airy. The governor enjoyed all this. So this is where he received his visitors. The room in there, that was the governor's office. The small room over there, this was the governor's mini bar where he kept his liquor, quench his thirst, or serve his visitors. Now everything in here has been changed for the maintenance of the castle. There is no original thing. Now let me take you up to the hall and the bedroom.
Bedroom. There's a hall in the bedroom. So this should be the hall.
So we are still at the governor's residence. This is the hall of the governor. Again, let's compare it to the dungeon. Inside the dungeon, I showed you small open spaces as their source of light and ventilation. They had just 9 of them for 1,000 men inside the mill slave dungeon. With the women, they had 2 chambers. And each of the chambers had 3 of these small open spaces. So together 6 for 400 women as their source of light and ventilation for 3 months. Now look at those big windows. Enough ventilation, enough sunlight. One man enjoyed it. And there were so many governors coming in and out. They were dying because of the malaria. So whenever a governor comes in and he dies, they appoint a new one. So every governor that worked inside the Cape Castle lived happily, including Captain George McLean. And this is the bedroom where his wife, Letitia Elizabeth Landon, was found dead.
Ezra.
So this is the bedroom of the governor. Yes, Letitia Elizabeth Landon. She was found dead in the bedroom with a bottle of poison sitting right beside her. 2 months when she came to visit her husband, Marco. Do we have any questions? He's a Scottish man, but the British appointed him to come here. Any other questions? All right, let's do this. Now, the small room over here, this was the governor's closet or the wall where he kept his video. Alright, so let's continue. Now when we look down this way, this whole yard, where the art crafts is being exhibited, the whole yard used to be a barracks for the soldiers. Now the soldiers were not many, just about 120 of them. So inside the shops were their dormitories, the middle part right here, that was their canteen. where they would dine morning, afternoon, evening. But after they abolished the trade, the whole place was no more a barracks. It was a prison yard. Now, once upon a time, Cape Coast was the capital of Ghana before it was moved to Accra in 1877. But the early days of the organization still used this castle. Therefore, there was a Western law courtroom here. This is where the very first judicial law course system started by the same Captain George McLean. So once they bring you in here and they sentence you to go to prison, they keep you down. 1992, the British was moved from here to Anchorage. Now the Anchorage prisons. But the whole place is a mass market. Entry is free. After the tour, you can go in to buy or do window shopping. Any of it is allowed. And what we are working on here, this is an original floor made of marble tiles. Sorry. So let's go this way.
But that's cool.
So just a quick look in here. This is our police hall, where the very first judicial law system in Ghana started. So all the courtrooms we have here in Ghana, this is where it started by Captain George McLean during colonial time. But during the transatlantic, we had no courtroom here. We're settling our disputes at the chief's palace. But after we signed our bond and they had control over us, they introduced us to the Western law courts. So this is where it started. Everything in here has also been changed for the maintenance of the castle. There is no original thing in this room. Please are very good. Okay. Let me take you to the Palava. All the auction hall. So this was the market inside the castle. Right from a St. Man's when they had their last back. When they arrived here in the castle, before they would take them down into their respective dungeons, this is where they bring them to. In here is where the doctors and nurses are going to examine and separate domestic captives from the commercial captives. This same hall is where the auction takes place. So palaver to them meant bargaining or confusion, because before they will settle a price, there are so many confusions surrounding these prices. So in here with the women, they can take off your clothes, touch your body, just to see how heavy you are before they will price you. With the men, they will use your height and also how heavy you are. In exchange for the commodities, gun and gunpowder, fabric, liquor, mirror, biscuits, toffees, sugar, chocolates, leather works, metallic ornaments, ceramic works, petty commodities we've never seen or tested before in here. And while the transaction here is successful, they march them down to the courtyard where they are being branded with a branded iron, which is metal. And the branded iron has a logo of the company that will purchase you on it, or the initial. So companies like Manchester Group of Companies will have their name Manchester on the head on this metallic iron. They set fire at the courtyard. They insert the branded iron into the fire. Once it's hot and red, they take it out and stamp it to your bare skin, so that the name of the company that bought you or the initial will get stamped to your skin. And they branded them for identification purposes. So after the branding, they march the men down to their respective dungeons, while the females are taken down to their respective dungeons. Now in this same hall, is where they signed the bond of 1844, a peace treaty designed by Captain George McLean, signed between Commander Hill and some 8 local chiefs before colonization. Now the black ceiling at the edges, they are original. Aside that, everything else been changed for the maintenance of the castle. Please, are we good? Alright, let's go down to the condemned ceiling. So we stand right in front of the condemned cell. Now in this cell is where they kept rebellious captives. We call them freedom fighters. Inside the dungeon, they had some of these enslaved African men trying to voice out and fight them for freedom. And anytime they did that, the Europeans called them rebellious. Therefore, barefooted in chains and in shackles, they marched them back to the courtyard, where they beat them up till they are weak, and they leave them in here to die. Now this door we see here, this is an original door, a little over 200 years, made of pitch pine timber. And they had 3 of these doors at the entrance. The very first one in the middle, the very last one. In this cell, there is no open space for ventilation or sunlight, no food and no drinking water. With all the 3 gates locked, you would have to starve, suffocate, and die. So no man fought for freedom inside the dungeon, came in alive and came out alive. They bring you in alive, you come out dead. So assuming they bring in about 30 rebellious or freedom fighters in here, they beat them up before they bring them in here. A soldier keeps checking up on them. When the soldier comes in, 15 are dead, 15 are still alive. 15 alive sits with 15 dead bodies. They smell all the bad odor hovering around these dead bodies. When he comes back again, and 29 are dead, 1 is still alive. The 1 alive sits with 29 dead bodies. So until the last man dies, no dead body leaves the cell. Finally, when the soldiers comes and all the 30 men in there are dead, they bring these dead bodies back to the courtyard, line them up, show the dead bodies to the rest of the captives as a sign of warning or caution to them that you dare not rebel against them. If not, you'll be brought in here and you are going to lose your life. Right after all these dead bodies are being thrown into the sea. Now we are going in here to have a brief film of what the enslaved Africans, the rebellious captives, or the freedom fighters had to endure when they were being left in here to die, with no food and no drinking water, no sunlight, and no air. The entrances are very short, so please we'll have to lower our heads and move in. Please, let's go. I will switch off the lights and lock the gate. Hey. Yes. Please wash your head. Oh my God.
The stench is still there? My God.
It still smells.
Wow. Still there, man. My God.
And please.
My God. We're going dark. Wow. And then there's still light. Wow.
So this used to be a storage room where they kept natural resources like the gold, ivory, spices. But later they blocked the other side and used it as a container this year. Today the sun is not so scorching, and we are not even many. We've not been in here for 5 minutes, but you can smell the stenches in here, you can feel the heat in here. We are not even captives. We came in willingly, with no chains around us. But these enslaved African men, they even, before they bring them, they beat them up till they are weak, just because they are fighting for freedom. At the end of the day, they committed no crimes at all. They were just trying to fight for their rights. Just one Lord. So imagine the first Lord, second one Lord, last one here. No light, no ventilation, no food, no drinking water. If you don't die, you don't go out. So assuming they bring in 199 dies, the last one sits with 99 dead bodies. So if the 99 dies in the period of 24 hours, the last one, even if it will take you 2 weeks to die, you sit with the 99 dead bodies till you also die. That is the only time they bring the dead bodies out. So until the last man dies in here, no dead body leaves the cell. So this cell can take like 180, 70, 50, even 10, depending on the amount of men rebelling or fighting for freedom. Now all these brought in by sisters and brothers from the diaspora, they come in here, they leave marks on the wall. They light up candles here. They touch the walls. They pray for the spirits of their ancestors in here. They leave the candles to burn and melt before they take their leave. So this is a condemned cell for the rebellious, for the freedom fighters.
And everything here is original.
Yes. Any questions?
Questions remain here.
All right, so I'm sure we would like to go out. Or we should stay. Leave away, okay. Wow.
Wow.
Go ahead.
No.
You're very lucky.
Oh, I'm lucky.
I should also come up.
All right, let me take you down to the underground tunnel. The tunnel that goes directly to the door of no return.
Wow.
Wow.
It's crazy, man. For hundreds of years. And the stench is still there. Plus years.
All right, so this is a part of the underground tunnel. The tunnel that starts behind the shrine. So once the ships arrive, they walk through this tunnel down to the door of no return. This is just a watch post. The black gate over there is also another part. That side is shallow, this side is a bit deep. So there are no staircase here. Nobody goes in, nobody comes out. This is just a watch post for a soldier with a gun. Whilst the captives move or walk through it in chains and in shackles, the soldier here keeps commanding them to keep walking. The other soldier there is counting them to know that the numbers they are getting here is equivalent to what they are getting down. But if the numbers are not up to, they send soldiers down the ladder to go and check. Most times they fall in dead or injured. Dead ones are being thrown into the sea. Injured ones, they will take you back. When you heal properly, you wait for the next ships. If you want to have a look, I said it's quite deep. Hold yourselves and your belongings. If anything gets in there, that is it. I cannot help you retrieve it.
No return.
If you get in there, that's it, okay?
Don't worry, we won't fall. Just be careful. Hey. It's traumatic, huh?
Yeah. It's been blocked, so you stay there. So I can get a staircase for you. A ladder, sorry.
So people were there?
They walk through it
Okay.
from the dungeon down, the men.
Wow.
So I'll show you where it ends.
My God.
So they work from them, they are working down. Once they start working.
All right, so let's go this way.
And so now I will run.
Where they kept the natural resources and some of their ammunitions too. The second floor or the first floor was the chambers for the slave merchants. The last floor is the palaver floor, the auction. But now this is the first floor as a museum, like an renovation. All right. So how many of us have been to Elmina Castle before? None of us. You've been there. When was that?
Oh,
Quite recent.
no, 2014.
Oh, okay. So you saw the door of no return.
Yes.
A very short and narrow open space. Elmina still have a door of no return. But this is where the door of no return was. Very short, very narrow. When you get here and you cannot fit through, they will force you through it or take you back to the dungeon, go and starve you. When you reduce in weight and in size, you wait for the next ship to arrive. So this is where the tunnel ends. So right from the shrine, the men comes out from here. The females join them. They go through the door of no return into the bigger ships. But whenever the ocean waves or tides were strong, seawater was getting in here. So they blocked the side and created a new one at the far end of the castle. So now the men will walk out, go out through this open space, meet the females in front of their chambers. They will now go through the new door of no return, where they will never return back to their land. 1834, when Captain George McLean commanded them to block the tunnel, they blocked the side too, to abolish the transatlantic slave trade in here. Now let me take you to a punishment cell.
Oh my. Never ends. Huh.
So we stand right in front of a punishment cell. Now up there was the male condemned cell where they kept rebellious or freedom fighters, starved, suffocated, and to die. This is also a punishment cell for the females that resisted rape. Once you say no to rape, they put you in there for days, 7 to 10 days till you change your mind. But with the females, they didn't starve them, they didn't condemn them to die. They fed them once a day, giving drinking water. The hole over there, that is where they will urinate and also poop. They also provided them with a space for ventilation. But the whole place was gated with a metal rod right across. So it could be one female, 2 or more in there. Depending on the amount of females saying no to rape, they expect you to change your mind. So if you are in here and you overdue, you still don't want to change your mind. And they will still want to have their way with you. They will still take you out there, rape you and bring you back. So they read in there to pay homage to those that stood their grounds, resisted rape. But at the end of the day, they were still being raped against their will. So this is a female punishment seal. All right, let me take you down to the female dungeon. All right, so just one step. Please, let's move in. Wow. Alright, so even with this gate wide open today, you realize how bad the dungeon is. So just imagine with the gates locked. And even with this bigger window, they had used metal rods to flush it out of windows, even though they were still in chains and shackles. Now this is a female dungeon. The females were not many, 400 in total. 200 in here, 200 right opposites. They enslaved African children. They captured from age 10 to 45 years. So the children were in here in chains and in shackles with the females. They went through the same thing the men went through. In total darkness for 3 good months, no exposure to sunlight. When the ships arrive where they are being asked to step out and get exposed to sunlight, most of them become partially blind. The 3 open spaces are there, their source of light and ventilation for 3 good months. Fed them twice a day in their pounds, giving drinking water, provided them with the same wooden buckets where they will put their urinate in. Feces spreads on the floor. They sit in their own mess. The only difference between the women and the men is that with we the ladies, as every month we menstruate. So if you are in here for 3 months, all your menstrual blood, you do it on yourself, sit in your blood and smell it. So the menstrual blood mixes up with the feces and urine, vomit, teardrops, sweat, food particles, and you sit in your own mess. The only time you get a chance to bath as a female is when they want to rape you. After the rape, when they bring you back and they realize you are pregnant, whoever impregnated you takes you out of the dungeon. Aside the castle, they had chambers in the township. Take you there. Go and take very good care of you. Once you give birth, gives you 3 to 4 months to breastfeed the child. Right after, they bring the mothers back, they take their kids. The connection ends there. The mother will never see the child again. The child will never see the mother again. So those children are the mixed races of mulattoes that they provided them with formal education up in the same church under Reverend Thomas Thompson. After colonization, most of these children left with their fathers. Others stayed behind. They got acquainted with African men and women. They multiplied. That is why today when you go to the shores of Ghana, places like Sekendi, Takrade, Elmina, Cape Coast, and Accra, there are so many fair-colored people, even the dark ones. They have big British English names. All these people are descendants of the mixed races of mulattoes the Europeans had with our local women during their stay. So all these wreaths here, brought in by visitors to pay their homage. And over there are more candles. They come in here, they light up these candles, they pray, leave the candles there to burn and melt before they take. Yeah. So this was the situation for the females inside the dungeon. Please, are we good? Now let me take you out to the door of glory. So after they blocked the other door of glory, this was the new one. But it wasn't as big as this. The whole place was walled like that, with a very short and narrow open space here, called the door of glory. This was changed during colonial time, when they were still using this castle. Now, when the enslaved Africans meet here barefooted in chains and in shackles, this is where you lose your dignity, you lose your respect, you lose your name, you lose yourself as an African. You leave behind your culture and tradition. It wasn't only Ghanaians that were in these dungeons. As far as Nigeria, speaking Igbo, Yoruba, people from Ivory Coast, Togo, Benin, speaking French, across West African countries, wherever you are from, whatever language you speak, whatever name you are called, whichever tribe you are, once you get here, you lose that. In Ghana, we have native names like Amakojo Kwame Araba. Once you go out with Araba, you are no more Araba. You cease to be an African. When you reach in the new world of the Caribbean, in America, and in Europe, your new master on the plantation gives you a new identity. They were taken to places like South and North Carolina, Bahamas, Barbados, New York, Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, Brazil, among others. Brazil had the most populated captives, about 47% of the total percentage, taken from Elmina Castle by the Portuguese. That is why today when you go to Brazil, there are so many black people over there. And after the trade, an estimated number of 12.5 million survived the forced journey into the New World. But 5 times, or even more of that number, died. So those that died were way more than those that survived. Because at every point of the journey, thousands of these men and women died. When they capture you and you resist, they gun your job. When you come here and you fight for freedom, they leave you inside a condemned cell to die. Even the branding alone can end your life. Hot metal from the fire to your bare skin. Not even a dog can withstand that, to talk of a more conscious human being. But today, since you and I are not slaves, we are going out through this door of no return. But we shall return through a brand new door. Please let's step up.
Sorry, bro. and she has tried. I thought she wouldn't handle that.
Now, when the enslaved Africans come out through that short and narrow space, the European masters, they come down through the staircase, called the Golden Staircase, because they felt the short and narrow open space wasn't meant for them. And when they were here, the sea defense we see over there, it wasn't there. This was done like 2 years ago, just to push back the seawater. So the seawater could come right beneath the staircase. And they were using this whole side as their harbor, called the White Man's Beach, locally. And till today, the place is still called about. And when you look over there, you can see the ship in different country parts of them. When you go near them, you will see unique names written on this God, even scriptures from the Bible. This is because a very big ship transporting these innocent passengers had a country flag had names like that written on them. Because the Europeans, most of them were missionaries. They said they were spreading the word of God. Meanwhile, they were killing innocent African men and women on these ships. Now, bigger ships couldn't come to the shore, so they would dock at the middle of the ocean. They would bring smaller boats beneath the staircase, convey these enslaved Africans into the smaller boats, transport them into the bigger ships. Now, when they get on the ships, they pack them on top of each other. If you are not fortunate and you sleep in it, by the time you reach your destination, you are dead and gone. Because the ship takes about 3 to 4 months coming in, going back to the sea. If the very first person decides to urinate, it drags down to the last person. When the ship takes off and they realize the ship is overloaded and might sink, instead of them to offload goods, they offload human beings. On a moving ship, when they realize they have pregnant women, they throw them into the ocean. When you give birth, newborn babies go directly into the ocean. They take the mothers along. When they take you with a child or heavily pregnant, you are going to be a burden to them. They are taking you there to go and work on plantations. When you get there, you are pregnant, somebody will even purchase you to go and work for them. So you become their burden. Now, most of these enslaved Africans, willingly, they will jump into the ocean because they prefer dying on their land than going to die an unknown land. Now, 1st August 1998, Ghana had its first Emancipation Day, where our sisters and brothers from the diaspora embarked on a pilgrimage to come back home. Now, when they came, they didn't come alone. They came with 2 mortal remains. 2 people that were dead and buried. They exhumed their mortal remains. One from New York, Samuel Carson. One from Jamaica, Madame Christel. These 2 people are not captives that left. They are descendants of the captives. And they represent all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. When they arrived in Accra, accompanied by some family members together with their mortal remains, government officials gave them a very warm welcome. Accra to Abanzi, where we have another fort, Fort Amsterdam, they traveled by road. From that fort to the castle, they used the ocean. When they got here, they poured libation. They ushered them back into the castle, gave them an African funeral ceremony to signify their great homecoming. After this ceremony, they sent these 2 people back to Asin Mansu, the slave trade market. So when you go to Asin Mansu today, Samuel Carson and Madame Christel, they are still being buried there. Therefore, this short ceremony they had for these 2 descendants brought the new right and door of return. So when the captives were living, they left their names behind, left behind culture and tradition. Their respect and everything, they left it behind. They left curses here. They never returned home. But 2 descendants of them, they returned, broke the curses here, went back into the same castle they were being enslaved. And today we stand on this door of return to tell all our brothers and sisters in the diaspora that they cannot return home, find their roots where they are from originally. And this whole place today, it is a fishing community for the local people of Cape Coast. Now in Ghana, on Tuesdays, it is a taboo to go fishing. Today being Tuesday, the place is not so busy. So this is where they will rest and also mend their fishing nets. Do we have any questions? If there are no questions, we return and conclude the talk. All right, so let's stand this way. So what we have here is Aquaba, and Aquaba means welcome. So we went out through the door of no return, but we were fortunate to have returned through a brand new door of return. So I say Aquaba to you all. Now, for those of us that joined us when we were already inside the dungeon, or when we are in the cemetery, right in front of the male dungeon, there are two plaques. The other one I said was unveiled by the Obamas when they came into business in 2009. The other one I said we can take a picture of it. In the year 1992, Ghana had its first Pan-African Historical Theatre Festival, PANAFest. The National House of Chiefs unveiled that plaque to everybody that comes in here today as a sign of saying sorry to us, because their predecessors, the chiefs and elders, were strongly involved. They gave out the land to the Europeans, were middlemen for them, traded off our people in exchange for these petty commodities. Now, that plaque carries a very deep message and grace in everlasting memory of the anguish of our ancestors. May those who die rest in peace. May those who return find their root. May humanity never again perpetrate such injustice against humanity. We the living vow to uphold this. Today, the emphasis is on the we the living. It says you and I that is still alive today. The message in there is not just to the blacks. It's for everybody, each of us here. I always say when we walk in today, we don't come in here to discriminate. We are in here to learn. Whatever happened here wasn't just injustice or injury. It was a very big crime. It can happen to the white. It can happen to the black. Once we are here, we put aside our differences, irrespective of our color, the language we speak, or where we come from. Whether this one is white, this one is black, we should avail ourselves for everything that happened here. Guide us into a better and a great future ahead of us. Because today, we don't often see people trafficking human beings, or we don't see this human slavery happening. But slavery is still with us in a more modernized way, in so many ways and in so many forms. In our societies, in our homes, even in our workplace, even in churches, there is slavery. We sleep with injustice, we wake up with it. So once we are here, we as human beings, if we don't want to get ourselves enslaved, never again should we involve ourselves in any act that will enslave us fellow human beings. And as we live here back into a humble abode, we should put aside our differences, come together, promote peace, love, and unity, because together we are strong, divided we fall apart. Once again, my name is Nana Araba. And please, before I end the tour with you, we have literature books at our reception. Books that talks more about the transatlantic, talks about the 15th century to the 19th century. It talks about our St. Anson, some of the forts we have here. We also have books that talks about the trans-Saharan trade, where the Arabs were the ones involved. We have fiction, stories that happen here, novels. Yajes's Homegoing talks about two sisters with two different destinations. One of the sisters was being enslaved. The other was married to the master. The one that was married didn't know her sister was being enslaved. We also have Amma, also a true story that happened during the transatlantic. They are all good read. All these books are on purchase. When we get up there, I'll introduce the books to you. You can get one or two. Aside that, this is where I bring my walking tour to an end. Thank you for coming, and safe journey back to wherever you came from. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.